Welcome to this Time to Lead podcast where leaders come together to grow and get better. I'm your host, Fred Fitzgerald, and I'm so ready to make a difference and an impact in the lives of our listeners. We believe that before you can lead others, you must first lead yourself. So on this podcast, we focus on self-leadership. I'm excited today. This is a special guest that I have on. He's not only an incredible businessman in the financial industry, he's a great father, he's a great grandfather. We have so many things that are similar to us as well. But he's also a military man. He's also a man that I believe that when you're looking for somebody with integrity and character, and also a little bit of grit, but also wraps all that up with love and integrity, I can't think of anybody else but my brother, Gregory Ashe. So welcome to the show, Greg.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, Fred. I appreciate the introduction. Yes. Good morning to you.
Good morning, man. Good morning. Listen, it's a long time coming, man. I said, I'm going to get Greg on this show, man. My man, he support me. I'm telling you. And I just love you for who you are, man. So for those who don't know, I got people all over the world right now. Tell them a little bit about Gregory Ashe, a little bit about your background, where you're from.
Yeah. Youngest of five, man, born up in there in Danbury, Connecticut, man. The projects. My mom made me go to a certain school to avoid certain kids, and military was an option. Actually, was the only option.
Right, I know.
But yeah, man. So I joined the Navy. I only did 4 years, but I got to travel the world. It was actually an opportunity to get out of the project, because once I came back to Connecticut, I never had to go back into the projects, and so I got married at a young age, had kids at a young age. But again, growing up, as a man of faith, had the opportunity to try to instill some God-fearing beliefs into my children. So that helped a lot in some of my raising of my children and trying to be married. It was extremely difficult as a child, or as a young man, should I say. I always knew if I was going to pull this off, that was my only shot, realistically, and but anyway, so that's a little bit about my background, again, youngest of five,
Are you the oldest? You just said you're the youngest, right?
Youngest.
Wow, man.
Yes,
let me ask you this. You're the youngest of five. What kind of pressure was that on you, man? Because I think you probably got blamed for everything, didn't you?
Man, Fred, I always tell people, because there was such a big gap between me and my siblings, right? As me being the youngest, it was like I had 5 moms.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right.
So at one point,
all girls?
Nah, 2 girls and 2 boys.
2. Oh my goodness.
Of course, my mom.
Man, oh my goodness. Wow.
So I was thankful for that, man, because at the end of the day, somebody was jacking me up or popping me upside the head.
Right. Yeah, they kind of shaped you. So if you were that ball of clay, you was always getting shaped and beat up and heat up and broken and all over again, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Wow. Who was your biggest influence when you were younger, man?
Yeah. Well, for one, my mom. My mom was my love of my life. My mom was my definitely person I looked up to. Me and my mom, I guess because I was the youngest, we always had a strong relationship. As a kid, everywhere she went, I went.
Okay.
And so we traveled the country together when I was a kid.
Wow.
But my mom was a civil rights activist.
Oh.
And so she instilled in me, regardless of what we have, what can you do for somebody else? How can you help somebody else? Share with somebody else, reach out to somebody else. And you wouldn't know that we were poor, right? It was crazy. So my mom, I would say, was definitely my biggest influence growing up.
Wow.
Probably, around age 12, I got introduced to a guidance counselor. This guy, he had a way of making me feel like a champion, and making me feel like I could do anything,
right.
just every time I saw him, he just gave me a big smile and started talking like, it was crazy. Just
Wow.
so I would say a guidance counselor as a kid, and my mom, by far were my two biggest influences
Influence
growing
you.
up.
Okay. And what
Yeah.
are three things that you learned from your mom that has shaped you in your fatherhood that you kind of revert back to that was important to you?
Wow. Three things I learned from my mom that shaped me as a father. Um, realistically, love was unconditional, and the thing is, sometimes when I went astray and I kind of, found myself trying to be grown,
Yeah.
um, she always loved me. When I needed the discipline, it was there, but there was times where I would feel bad, and I don't know. Let's say I was coming off a punishment or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
my
yeah.
mom would,
Now, did y'all
still
have
have
punishments
a
like
way
these
about making me
kids?
feel real good.
Right. Did y'all when you said punishments? I want to put a pin there
Yeah.
real quick. Did you have the kind of punishment that these kids have today, where it lasts a day, or did you have the kind of punishments I had, where it was first marking period to the last marking period?
I guess it depends on what it was. But yeah, man. So it was um yeah, that was circumstantial, man, because yeah, no, like until you got it right. Yeah, it was definitely a little more long standing, and
Exactly.
but yeah. So three things I learned from my mom, man, was to be able to make that correction, but at the same time always, let, uh to let you know you're loved,
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the other thing was to be a community activist, to be known in the community for trying to give back to others,
Okay.
and the interesting thing is, man, um, even though I tried that as a young age, I even did Special Olympics volunteering. I did a bunch of different roles volunteering.
Okay.
Um, so I always wanted to give back to the community. Sometimes, you know, I guess I thought it was a free ride. If I gave to the community would be receiving of me, and
Huh.
that's not always the
That
case,
was always the case. Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so I was always a philanthropist, always a donor, and I got that from my mom.
Hmm.
But so yeah, so one thing I've learned is to be involved in the community and be able to try to give as much as you can,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you can.
Yeah.
And it
That's
wasn't
good.
always
That's
about the
good.
money, you
That's a
know.
great quality, man. And we have to make money. Of course, money is a tool. I as well. So it's amazing how we chase things. But I think I love the fact that you said that your mom is still love, which definitely is the answer for everything, good, bad, or indifferent, on how to deal with things, especially when you deal with a crisis or whether it's with your kids or whatever. And it's interesting. I have never knew about you as far as the civil rights piece. Did what she was
Yeah.
involved in, do you see a parallel to where things are at now for the civil rights thing? Have you seen? Do you feel that it has gotten better or worse as far as people
Oh,
people's involvement?
yeah. I would say things have, if honestly, in my opinion, is that they're the same.
Okay.
The knowledge, the awareness has gotten better. The exposure has gotten better, due to our times. But a lot of things are the same, man. I know we've done, you know, I don't know. I just feel like we've made steps.
Yeah.
Let me back up. I shouldn't say that things are the same because they're certainly not.
Right.
You
Right.
can
Right.
walk into a bank nowadays and
Yeah.
see, a Latino lady, an African American male,
Yep.
um, so it's yeah, so things have gotten better, but we've
Okay.
made small steps. You would think
Yeah.
50 years from, in 50 years, 60 years, we'd be a lot further ahead.
Yeah.
So we've moved along and we're a little ahead, but
Yeah.
not where we should be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me be
Yeah.
clear on that. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you said that because it helps me because I think that the society that we live in,
Yeah.
yes, 50 years ago we were going through that. but I think that any step forward is a great step because it's been 400, 600, 800 years, for it to
Amen. That's
really.
right.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely glad you mentioned that. So, what was your biggest aspiration as a young person, whether it's in middle school, high school? What did you want to be? Did you always want to be an entrepreneur? What kind of dreams and goals did you have?
That's interesting. Interesting question. I never necessarily saw myself as an entrepreneur.
Okay,
I dabbled between wanting to be a dancer from break dancing, pop
nice,
locking,
nice.
Fred, I thought, yeah,
So
man.
he's a pop.
You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
I mean, broke my back doing they call it a suicide flip. No hands, boop, land on your back. I
Yeah,
mastered that. Don't ask me why I thought that was my best move, but
man. You gotta be a jelly bean, man, with
oh man. But
the break
yeah.
dancing, man. Good lord.
so but yeah, I don't know. I yeah, I always wanted to be an athlete, but being a but my stature never lended me to being an athlete.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved sports, man.
Right,
I
right, right,
did play as long as I could.
right,
Baseball. I played baseball, basketball, and football, man.
right.
And but as far as entrepreneurship, that was something I was introduced to in my 20s and wanting to be, your own boss, wanting
Yep,
to run your own show.
yep.
And so so I found myself in the corporate world, but my mentality, my mindset was always that of an entrepreneur. I always struggle with the employee mentality.
Yeah,
I guess you might even say, while the military probably built me for the life that I was to live in the future, I learned a couple of things in the military, man. I'm
wow,
always
like
using the
what?
expression "go to war."
Yeah,
Go to
yeah.
war. And when things are roughing you up, man, instead of crying about it, instead of talking about how bad your life is, just acknowledge, okay, I'm getting whooped up. I
Mm-hmm.
feel beat up.
Mm.
Like, okay, well, you feel like you're getting beat up is you probably got beat up. So ball up your fist, take a
Right,
deep breath,
right,
and let's
right.
go to war.
That's it. Yeah,
Don't sit there and take it.
yeah, yeah.
And you got to find a way to get up.
Mm.
Find a way to start swinging back.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, so as far as a entrepreneur, again, that wasn't necessarily big growing up, but one of the things that drew me to you and attracted me to you
Mm.
was I saw the value in being as humanly as possible, being the best I can be, and
Yeah,
recognizing that if I'm not being the best I can be, I'm definitely being short on what God intended me to be.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
um, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I always, if I could just tell a quick story, man. I
Yeah,
recently was
man, sure. This is
speaking to
this
some
is this is
folks.
your show. This is your
Okay,
podcast. It's all about
yeah,
gray ass right now. So you don't even have to say that. Just give me the story, man.
yeah, man. So I said, how when you were younger, if you're at work, they give you a 15-minute break, mess around and come back 20 minutes later. They allow you to have
Yeah.
bathroom breaks, but you seem to be going to the bathroom for an hour, right? Doing
Right,
work,
right,
right?
right, right.
Or during lunch
I've
break,
done
instead
that.
of coming back in 30 minutes, you come back in an hour,
Hour, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But they right, reason why the boss and the job gives you such a hard time because they see that as you stealing time,
Mhm.
and that's you're here for us. These minutes you're wasting, these are our minutes you're wasting. So they see that stealing time.
Yep.
So and speaking to a group recently, I said, when you're every day you live less than you are supposed to be, right? And when you know that you are supposed to be greater than who you are, I just have that ache of not doing all I can. I'm supposed to be better than I am,
Hmm.
and I have things to do before I leave this place.
Right.
Every day you ignore that itch and that ache, you're stealing not from your job, but you're stealing from your legacy.
Mm.
You're stealing from the legacy of you. I
Yeah,
mean,
nice.
everything you're supposed,
Yes.
and stealing from your God-given talent. In effect, you're stealing from the Creator. And
Yes. Yes.
so So anyway, I just wanted to share that because of all things that I aspire to be, man, is trying to make sure I'm going to war and making an impact,
Yeah,
leaving a
yeah, yeah.
thumbprint,
Yep, yep,
and
yep.
yeah, leaving a thumbprint.
Yeah. I heard it said that the definition of hell is when you die and you wind up going to hell and you meet the person you were supposed to become.
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of like that, man. I lost a little more vicious, but I liked it.
Man, I heard that. I said, whoa, because now you're there, and guess what? For the rest of eternity, you're going to be constantly not only just burning, but you're looking at the person you were supposed to become.
Right.
Wow, I think that so
Mm.
the fact that you do that and you say, you teach that mindset to other people, I think is just so important. I think why do you think that people, what do you think the biggest challenge is as far as uh people being afraid to kind of tap into what it is that they are feeling on the inside? What's the fear of them trying to be better?
Yeah, I think that fear of failure
Yeah.
is probably the biggest one. Um, Fear of people's opinions
Yeah.
is got to be up. If not one, that's number two.
Yep.
Fear of failure and fear of others think about you.
Right, right, right.
I would say those are probably the top two things. And number three, again, I would say these three are probably interchangeable.
Right.
The word tells us that we are imperfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the scriptures talk about the flesh in a figurative
Mm-hmm.
sense. It's not talking about the skin, but it's talking
Yeah.
about struggle.
Stronger. Yeah.
Struggle. So
Struggles.
the imperfect flesh, man, is I would say is part of
Mm-hmm.
that. The mind telling us we're not worthy, we're less than worthy. And whereas the creator saying, listen, man, I need you to be all you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And as the word says,
Yes.
in Christ all things are possible.
Yes.
So stop trying to fulfill your life and your role with just you and you alone.
Mm-hmm.
So again, just to repeat that, I would say the fear of failure, the fear of others' opinions,
Mm-hmm.
and then from a theocratic point of view, the flesh that's
Yeah.
constantly, it's an ongoing tug of war.
Ongoing.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. So let me just ask this. The topic of this show that I've been doing for the last year is leading through a crisis. And what I wanted to ask, right up front, they talk about a crisis will either promote you or expose you. So
Right.
regarding a crisis and all the crises of our life, they probably, kind of it came from, the whole COVID-19 thing. But I think when you're dealing with a crisis and leading yourself through it, and I think you can. It's not just one thing. We have small little crises going on throughout our life. So what does leading through a crisis mean to you, and how have you led through a crisis?
Yeah. Leading through a crisis. What does it mean? Whew, I like to say, being able to acknowledge where you are, learn to be grateful and thankful for where you are and what you do have,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that tomorrow is ahead of us. Again, living in the moment. They always say tomorrow's not promised, but if you can at least take a deep breath and acknowledge where you are and be grateful for where you are,
Mm-hmm.
you go to bed with the hope of tomorrow. You be able to, so I think hope is probably a big key.
Yes.
So it's sad, but when folks don't have hope,
Mm-hmm.
You can see how challenges kind of creep in.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if all you got is hope, the reality is that might be, the one thing that's going to get you through it.
Yeah.
If that's all you got, you're like, listen, all I got is hope.
Right.
I'm like, all right, well, you know what? We're going to get through this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're going to get through this, I remember doing a mastermind call with you, and you're talking about the, one of John's books. Are you a coffee bean?
Yeah.
Are you an egg? Right? Are you an egg?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of what was the third one.
Yeah, it was a coffee
egg,
bean and the egg. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it was three things though, man. And so they were all exposed to boiling water, you
Right.
know, and the boiling water represented the crisis, the
Sure.
turmoil, you know, the craziness that we may
Right.
be going through. You know, you put
Right.
the egg in there, you know, the egg went from, you know, soft yolk to hardened, you know, and but the coffee bean, when the coffee bean was exposed to the boiling water,
Yep.
coffee bean actually changed, not only changed the color, changed the
Mm-hmm.
taste, and
Taste.
actually brought value, you know,
Yes.
came out more valuable. And
Mm-hmm.
so I, you know, I went back and shared that in a couple of different forums. You know, we're all exposed to turmoil. We're all exposed to
Mm-hmm.
sickness. We're all exposed to death. You know, we're
Yep.
all exposed to, you know, employment issues or should I say income issues.
Yep.
But how do you respond? Do you get hardened? Do you
Mm.
crumble? You know, or do you adapt? You know, change the flavor, change the color, and come out more valuable than ever. You
Right.
know,
Right.
and
That's good stuff.
so I made a commitment to myself. Again, this is why I'm thankful for yourself because I've always thought like that. I didn't know how to word that.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so are you
Thank
the
you.
egg or are you the coffee bean? You
That's
know,
it, man. Yeah. Yep.
and so in that sense, again, you don't even know like beyond words whether you know if you know let's put it this way. I always talk about every day you live writing your obituary, right? The
Mm.
way you live today, write your obituary. The
Yeah.
way you work today, write your annual eval, right?
Yeah.
You know, don't get mad because you had a bad eval. Well, that's probably because
Right.
you
You had a
acted
bad
up.
year.
You
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
stealing time.
You always
You
taking
know,
that time. You in the bathroom. You mad because the eval, you taking a dunk on my time. You was
right?
done 10 minutes.
So at the end of the day, man, you know, I always say the life you live today, you're writing your own obituary, you know, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so I picture if I were to speak at Fred Fitzgerald's funeral, what would I
Mm-hmm.
say? What would I
Mm.
say?
Yeah. I always think
I said,
about that.
this brother came in my life at a time he had no idea what I was going through. But
Thank
all he
you.
wanted to do was share with what he had, share
Right.
what he knew, you know, and his sharing is what blessed me, you know.
Amen.
And
Amen.
so my thing is or is going through some stuff, man, you know, recognizing that it's an ongoing challenge, you
Yeah.
know. But but that whole obituary thing, whether it's my kids, whether it's a coworker, whether it's my wife,
Yeah.
you know, even if they buy all, you know, had the audacity to let my ex-wife speak, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. 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 What would she
Fred,
say?
Fred,
Anybody
Fred, I
else?
mean, and I'll be like, hold on, no.
Yeah.
Who,
Yeah. Yeah.
who made
That's
up the
good.
list of Mike? You know, who's coming to the mic? So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but the thing is, you know, so my thing is, it's a powerful thing to have people of influence say great things about you.
Yes.
But what if, you know, what do folks who are recognized as, for lack of better words, nobody say about you? You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I know everybody's gonna have their opinion, but I'm
Yep.
saying,
Yep. Yep.
you know, that one lady, that one guy that said,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, he don't know, he touched my life.
Wow.
Because of him, I went back to school. You know,
Yeah.
because of him, you know, I bought a house, or because
Yep.
of him, I could retire. Because of
Mm.
him, you know, my kids, you know, did X, Y, and Z. You know,
Yeah. Wow.
so yeah,
To me,
yeah.
man, I'm glad you brought that up because it's so
So
much.
anyway,
It's
yeah, okay.
more in the I guess I turned 50 in November, and it's like that's kind of the things I've been thinking about. You know, I think about it prior, and you hear it in trainings or you hear it in different situations. You know,
Yeah.
at the end of my life, there's a born date, there's an end date when you die, and then there's that dash in the middle. So what are you
Yes.
working on? That's going to be written in the dash, right? And so Is it going to be that this guy
Yes.
shot for
Yes.
making millions of dollars and he bought all these cars and houses and things of that nature and blah, 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 blah? Or is it the lives that he's changed, or he took time out to be able to? And there's one guy was in the hospital. I remember I was in IT, work at his hospital, and I saw a janitor. And this is before Barack Obama started doing it. I was always talking to the janitors. I was always talking to the people who know about, especially corporate America. They walk past the cleaners. They walk past the people that's doing construction outside. They walk past them and don't say nothing to them like they're beneath them. And I would always recognize that part of the challenge. And I would always acknowledge them and say, how you doing? And here's what I really do. I even do that with the maintenance man in my own complex here. They'll come, I can see them working on somebody else's house. It ain't even my house, not even in my apartment. And I said, man, I appreciate you for what you do.
Yeah.
What? Who are you again? Are you an inspector? Now I'm just saying, I appreciate you what you do. You probably don't hear that, do you? He said, I don't hear that at all. I haven't heard that in 5 years. Just those little moments, man, can make that. He might be ready to quit that day.
Yeah.
Because people do more for recognition than do for money.
Yeah.
If you say you see me, you're saying you seeing me. And there was a janitor at the hospital in the data center operations side. And he was talking. I said, so how long you been working here? He said, man, I just come here and do my job. I said, well, I appreciate you, man. He said, I ain't doing nothing. I said, no, let me tell you something. This is the number 2 hospital in the world.
Okay.
Number 2. I said, but you are the most important person in this hospital. He said, what do you mean? I said, because if you don't do your job, the place is dirty. If the place is dirty, the place gets shut down. If it gets shut down, then the doctors don't work. I said, so you actually are the most important person here. And man, you should see his face just light up, man.
That's powerful.
And I mean, it's perspective. Like, that's the truth. Like, if you're not gonna go to a dirty hospital, are you? How do you feel when you walk into a hospital and you see them floors be like,
no,
exquisite? Man, I can eat off the floor. Your mindset, man. This hospital, okay, this hospital's clean. I can bring my body in here and be opened up. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about perspective. Right. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Right.
Talk to me about fatherhood, man. How has fatherhood changed your life, man?
Yeah, man. And like I said, I became a father at a very, very young age. And a lot of people don't know it. Some people do. But when I met my ex-wife, she had 2 kids. So I walked into the door with 2 kids.
Right.
And but we had 3 together. And so next thing you know, you look up and I'm claiming 5 kids, man. Right?
Wow.
And so to be humble about it, I often say most days I was making it up as I went along.
Yeah, man. There's
not because I was
book on that.
haphazard, not because I was neglectful. It was because most days you honestly felt inadequate.
Sure.
You're like, you know what? I love children. I love family. And I have the responsibility of taking these kids and helping these kids to want to be somebody or go up to be somebody. And many nights I laid my head down, man, like feeling inadequate. I don't know how I'm doing it, Wow. And the analogy, in a spiritual sense, the analogy I used to give would be that of getting Novocaine, when they clean the inside, the bottom of your boots, right?
Yeah.
The scaling thing, right?
Yeah. I'm about to go get that done, as a matter of fact, next week.
And that thing, Fred, I'm not going to scare you, man, but that thing is so painful. They usually only do a quarter at a time.
That's what they told me. That's exactly what they told me. Yep.
So the thing is, but they do give you lots of Novocaine.
Lots of Novocaine. Gotcha. Right? Yeah.
So So in a spiritual sense, man, when I look back, I used to say, I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we got through it. I don't know how we survived, right? And it was a challenge, you know, 5 kids at a young age, married at a young age, you know, every day was a battle. But I often say that the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, was almost like Novocaine, because by myself, if I try to do this by myself, you know, the pain will be totally unbearable. I'm like, y'all got to stop now, right? You know, but because of the Novocaine, you sit through this procedure, almost an hour. You know, you feel the tugging. Like,
yeah.
Right. So I'm not saying you don't feel the blows. I'm not saying you don't feel the blows.
Yeah. You're gonna feel
but
it.
You get through it.
Yep.
You get through it.
Right.
You know, and but hopefully and ultimately, if everything is done the way it should be, hopefully you get through this bigger, stronger, you know, in this case, better dental hygiene, you know,
That's
your roots
right.
are saved, your teeth are saved, you know.
Yep.
So when it comes to fatherhood, man, I was probably my own worst critic, man. If you ask any of especially my girls, if you ask my kids, they would tell you I was super, super strict, super strict. And the main reason behind that, man, was I didn't want my kids to be young parents. You know, I didn't want I'm talking teenage parents.
You didn't want them to repeat what you did, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay,
right.
I got it.
So I didn't want you know, and that was a big thing.
Yep.
You know, I didn't want them to repeat my mistakes.
Yep.
So they would tell you I was crazy. They would tell you I got
that too, man. I got 5 myself.
I was unbearable, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it genuinely came from love, man.
Yeah.
Because I would say, in a weird way, I love these kids more than I love myself, man.
Amen.
You know, and there were times where I would go without.
Amen.
So that my kids could have.
You preach it to the choir, brother. I got you. I got you. That's the truth.
Yeah. And you know, even when the iPhone came out, man, you know, it was years before I got a new iPhone. Right? I'm down at the Sprint store one day, Fred. They're like, "Oh yeah, you were due for an upgrade this year. You were due for an upgrade that year." And I'm like, "Well, why didn't I ever get it?" They're like, "Oh, because this phone line 55512 is that one got it. Like 3318, that one got it." I'm like, my kids were getting upgraded, Fred.
And you still had the OmniPoint with the antenna.
I'm saying, man. So when I say I was going without, these jokers were getting new phones, man.
Yeah.
Right on time.
Oh my God.
And meanwhile, I had the old flip phone, you know.
The flip phone. Yeah. I know. I feel it. The funny because the thing is with this dental thing, I'm about to go take care of. Thank you for helping me out because I just got my first shot. My wife just got hers, so I wanted to wait till I got after my second shot because I was supposed to go maybe last year.
Okay.
But my other 2 daughters, you know, that are still on my insurance, along with their mom co-parenting, it's like she needed braces, so her braces was $8,000. Right. So I gotta wait. So I gotta wait. Right. My doctor's like, you gotta come get this 4-quadrant thing done, man. I said, all right. So I just recently went. I paid off we paid off our daughter's bracelets, but I know about that sacrifice. I don't even, we sacrifice ourselves and make sure that they're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So I feel you right there, man. I definitely feel right there. But it's like you said, it's all in love, man.
Right. So the thing is, so now that my kids are older, I often say I'm blessed, man. All my kids are healthy. All my kids are alive.
Thank you,
and today it's important for me to, and I probably don't tell them this enough, but that I get to see my grandchildren grow up, that I get to keep in touch with my children, because, something I often talk about, again, what type of father I was.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was absent. Got it. And so that's why my mom was my influence.
Gotcha. That's
so as big of a burden as it was, man, I always tell people, all of my kids were by, my ex-wife. I never had to pay a dime in child support. because I raised all them jokers, through high school,
That's right.
etc. You know, um,
Right.
but that wasn't popular growing
Yeah.
up,
No, no,
and
absolutely.
so I always wanted to be the odd man, on purpose, deliberately. I wanted to be different,
Yes.
deliberately,
I
I wanted
love
to
being
break
the
the chain,
eyeball, buddy.
you know.
I love
So
it.
yeah, so in that sense, man, I was trying to break the chains of
Sure.
absentee father,
Yeah.
and so I hope and pray my kids, can appreciate that today.
Yeah. Yep.
Certainly my grandkids,
Yep.
because I didn't have that luxury. I didn't know my grandfather, especially
Wow.
on my dad's side.
Right.
I didn't
Right.
really know my dad.
Right.
And may he
Right.
rest in peace. My dad just passed away.
Oh
You
wow.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. I remember.
and
I'm sorry to hear that. That's
yeah,
right.
but we weren't close, man.
Mm.
So now that I say on the next phase of my life, I think it's important to make sure I'm building connections with my children and my grandchildren.
Yep.
Will it be 100% perfect? No, because we're
Right.
imperfect people living in an imperfect world.
That's right.
But yeah, this next phase is just if nothing else, let them know how much I appreciate them, influencing my life
Yeah. Absolutely.
and how much I love them. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man. Yeah, I could tell you. I could tell you was a great father. Great game recognized game, and so
Right,
we can only hope that we do the best that we can. In my situation where I was married before, and and then divorced, and
right,
I sacrificed me being in a relationship up to the point where I married my wife. 10
right,
years. I said I'm
right,
not focused, but that's that sacrifice. That's that sacrifice I was willing to. I didn't have a car, so I went and bought a bike to make sure I picked them up and had my daughters on the daycare. I didn't, what I mean? So things of that nature. And there's places, sometimes I had a place. Sometimes I slept on my brother's couch. Sometimes I slept in my office. Like there's a lot of things, slept in my car, like a lot of sacrifices that we do for our kids.
right.
Because even though I decided to leave the house, I never left their life, and my wife
Right.
always
Amen.
reminds me of that. Because you sometimes I would try to overcompensate, but what happens
Yes.
is when you try to overcompensate and you're showing up in the house a lot, everybody else, my ex-wife can't move on in her life because I'm there, trying to compensate what we were not together. So it was like it was interesting to that you just said that, because we do what we got to do for our kids just to create some sense of normalcy in the midst of dysfunctionality, right? And
Right.
so just trying to be able to do that. And so I applaud you, man, because I know that struggle of trying to make sure that you do what you got to do. And it's different. I've always been told, man, you're different. I mean, I wouldn't do all that. Yeah.
Right.
Ain't
Right.
nobody gonna be doing all that, but that's my babies. That's my kids. I'll go to the death for them. You know what I'm saying? And do what I need to do. And I thank God I'm proud of my kids as well. So I can appreciate what you're saying. I know your kids are gonna love hearing this. Love hearing that your daddy love y'all. And even though he did call y'all jokers, he still love y'all jokers. But he love, it's all in love, man. So to talk about, you are as far as a career perspective, you, to me, in the years that I've known you, you are a financial investment wizard. I just
Okay.
believe you are a whiz. You teach this stuff, and I'm just
Right.
learning, the whole stocks and things. But without giving any stock advice or anything, how did you get involved with that, and where did that passion come from about investments and 401ks and what drives you to want to continue to do that for people?
Yeah. Well, I got introduced to the company I'm with. I got introduced to my from my sister.
Okay.
So the only thing I ever knew about was 401k.
Yep.
I had a
Yep.
401k as a 22-year-old.
Yep.
The only thing I ever knew about was I had somebody approach me as a kid, as a young man, because I had at the time 4 kids, about
Okay.
life insurance. So I knew about life insurance and I knew about a 401k.
Okay.
And but as I got older, at this point, let's say in my 30s, because really I wasn't taught this stuff young, Fred.
No,
I didn't learn it
we
in
weren't,
school,
man.
college, high
It's the
school.
truth.
So now I'm in my late 30s, approaching 40s,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm introduced to the financial services world.
Mm.
And I'm like, man, this is crazy,
Mm-hmm.
And so on one side of the fence, my argument is minorities aren't taught this stuff.
Come on.
Right. And then on the big scheme of things, the more I learn, I'm like, wait a minute, people aren't taught this stuff, right? Latino, Caucasian, right? So, but
isn't that
something? when I started to study the demographics, though,
yep,
right? Because I realized the majority of people don't know this stuff. But when I started to study the demographics, I realized, okay, there is some truth to this. Minorities really don't know much about insurance, investing, right? Managing debt, and not for nothing. So many of our brothers, man, who are hustlers, who could be, would be, should be entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Them jokers end up becoming street pharmacists, selling some everything. Yeah.
Could be crushing this thing.
And then end up getting locked up, and get a bad name, and that follows them forever, with the felony. So my thing is, my passion is this, man, because again, right now I teach from the East Coast to the West Coast, from Canada down to Puerto Rico, down, even to Hawaii.
Nice, man.
And so my thing is, again, I taught Saturday and Sunday, and one of the ladies had coffee, and somebody said something about, I love your energy. I said, listen, all I had was water and breakfast. I said, all I had was water and breakfast. This ain't no, it may look like I have ADD. This ain't no coffee, Fred. This is straight
up.
Right, talking about money.
Right. Talking about money, let's go. That's right. We're talking about money, baby. Right?
Yeah. So I'm passionate about talking about investing, passionate talking about money. While I don't do taxes, I love the fact that I can give you a tax tip to help you save on taxes. Sure. So I like to say I give tax tips, not tax advice. I can get in trouble for
no doubt.
Trying to say I get tax
disclaimer.
Listen. Well, this is what if you're looking to save money, and because again, everybody loves write-offs, everybody loves deductions.
Yep.
I'm like, well, have you ever looked into a SEP IRA? Or what? Have you ever looked into a traditional IRA? I know you got a 401k at work. You can't write that off.
Right.
If you're looking for a deduction, have you ever thought about a traditional IRA? No. What is a traditional IRA?
Right.
And so I give tax tips.
Good stuff.
And but as far as the financial game, Fred, it's crazy, man, because I too turned 50 in 2020.
All right.
So whether I live to 70, whether I live to 80, right, and I'm living like I'm gonna die tomorrow.
No doubt. Yeah.
My thing is this. One of the things that drives my excitement is the thought of everything I know and I teach. So I'm like, this can't die with me.
No.
Somebody's got to know.
Right.
About tax saving. Somebody's got to know about investing. Somebody's got to know about, you work hard 3 or 4 jobs. How can you make your dollar work just as hard, if not harder? That's the challenge. I know so many people that have 3 or 4 jobs. When they go to do their taxes, they got, 3 or 4, what do you call them, bad boys? W-2s.
Yeah.
And that's noble that you got 3 or 4 W-2s. But the crazy part about that is your body can only take so much, and your body's only going to go so long.
That's right.
So at this point, why not teach your dollar how to work? Why not learn how your dollar works? And that's where the difference is. I light up and I get passionate about that because physically I know my days are numbered physically.
Yep.
Again, whether I make it to 70 or whether I make it to 80, God forbid if I pass tomorrow, right? I know my days are numbered.
Yep.
So understanding the power of making your dollar work, I'm excited about my future, man. I'm excited about the future of those that come in contact with me because I know regardless of the age they're at, they will be blessed from connecting with me.
Yeah.
And my signature on my email and my signature on my work email, right? Right. I don't know if you've ever seen paid attention to my signature, right? On my emails.
Okay.
But my email signature is a quote from you.
Oh, right? Yeah, I did see that, as a matter of fact. I did see that. That's right, man. Thank you, bro.
And
honored, man.
Yeah. My goal, man, is to make sure you leave different.
That's it. By the time you leave me,
than
man.
You were before you met me.
That's right. That's right, man. That's it.